Covering the community, events, and people of Georgia, Carolina. This is the Means Report. Here is Brad Means.
Welcome to the Means Report. Thank you so much for joining us, dads. We hope you had a great Sunday last Sunday. Everybody else, we hope the summer is treating you well now that it is officially underway and now that it is officially in the upper 90s, at least for a while here. But we are grateful every week that you take a half hour to stop by and watch the Means Report. And today we have a great broadcast for you. It's a broadcast that has a bit of a serious tone because it deals with issues that come at the end of one's life. We're going to talk about death. We're going to talk about what you need to do in regard to death. But it is important because these are decisions, obviously, that we are all going to face. So whether we're deciding for ourselves or for our loved ones, it is very important that we have all the information before us so that we do make informed, intelligent decisions. And I know at the end of this half hour you'll be a lot better informed when it comes to some of those key issues, whether it's planning a funeral, whether it is dealing with power of attorney and some of the changes that have gone on in recent years with the living will and medical power of attorney. We have attorney Jim Trotter in-house to talk to us about that. But we're going to begin with Bryan Evans. Bryan is our special guest today from Platts Funeral Home. He is the general manager there. And Bryan, I'll just begin by telling you that I appreciate you being here. You do have a wealth of information to share with everybody, and I thank you for stopping by.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Brad, for inviting me.
Well, my first question is, what does a funeral home do? You know, a lot of people see it for much of their lives as a place to attend funerals. But what would you say is the primary thing or things that you all do, your mission, your goal as a business?
Well, first of all, we try to educate the community on what's going to happen after someone passes. We try to help them and give them the resources just so they can make informed decisions about what to do and how to do it, and try to be their partner through this difficult process.
Even though we've heard a push for pre-planning, I think still, and this is just my lay opinion, we probably still see a lot of families coming in your doors after a death has occurred. Is that true? You still see people coming in saying, what do I do?
That's correct. Every day, you know, and really, it's very difficult. There at the time when someone has lost someone, it's just their world's been turned upside down, and we have to try to help them get back to thinking and making decisions and trying to just guide them along. That's you know, and it's very difficult sometimes to do that because it depends on the way the person passed. You know, so it does make it a lot easier to come in and pre-plan because we can sit down and do some of that ahead of time. But when someone comes in and they've not been prepared, it's very difficult, and we just try to get them to understand what we're there for and to just guide them along.
Give us a short list of the things that people have to choose. You're not just talking about, okay, I would like this type of casket, thanks a lot, see you later. What are the things going from the time that a loved one passes until the time that loved one is interred, if that's what happens, the choices you have to make?
Well, you have to make choices, first of all, of what type of service you're going to have. Yep. Is it going to be burial or is it going to be cremation? Mm-hmm. Maybe where to have that service at. Is it going to be in the funeral home, or is it going to be at the church or a graveside? You've got to choose a minister. What the mom or dad's minister. Who do you want to help in maybe saying a few things at a service? Music is always a big thing. What type of songs did mom or dad enjoy, mm-hmm. or yourself? You know, it's those types. Casket, outer burial container. You need a register book for guests to sign when they come to the funeral home. Flowers. It's all sorts of things that you have to make those decisions with, and you know, it's very interesting how you help someone, you take something that's so difficult and you make a beautiful ceremony after, you know, everything's done. It's just amazing how it comes together through those small little questions that we ask.
Well, even when you were running off the list of items, a couple came up that I wouldn't think of, like a registry book or flowers. You do have to plan for all of that. And you're right, Bryan, you do want it to be personal, and you do want it to be meaningful after all the choices are made. Once people tell you which minister they want or what church they want, do you all set all that up, or is the burden still on the bereaved to do that?
No, Brad, we set all that up for them. We call the minister for them, talk to the minister, tell him what type of service the family's requesting, tell them the the information that they have given us, what songs, who they want to speak. We try to do all that for them. We try to take it, less the burden away from them and take it all on us and make it easy for them. They're dealing with all the phone calls from the friends and the other family members. So we try to take all that and just really become their liaison to all these people that are going to be part of this service and their church, and just try to work with them to just help them and make that burden go away.
It makes it a lot easier. Let's talk about a question that's on a lot of people's minds, and that's the cost of a funeral. Even on the low end, even on the most affordable end, I should say, how much are you looking at? I've always pictured several $1,000s minimum. What are you looking at?
Well, cremation is a lot less expensive than burial. Cremation ranges anywhere from, I would say, $2,000 to maybe $2,000 to $6,000, somewhere there, depending on what type of cremation that you have. Traditional burial ranges anywhere from, I would say, $9,000 to $12,000 now today, and that's with cemetery costs that are involved in that. Mm-hmm. But it just depends on really what service that you're requesting. There's a lot of variables in there that kind of come up with the cost.
How can we make this more affordable? How can we make these decisions less daunting and less last minute? Should a young person come see you? Should we wait till we've moved on later in life? What's the ideal spot for us to come see you, and what kind of plans do you have to help us?
Well, Brad, death is never, it comes sometimes at the worst time. Mm-hmm. And you're never prepared. It's not something that we bring up around the kitchen table or at a party or something like that when we're with our friends or our family. So it's something that I think I think it's probably one of the biggest gifts that you could give your spouse or your mom and dad can give you as a son or daughter. But it is to come in and pre-plan, because then we can talk about the different type of services you want. There's no emotion involved. We've taken the emotion out. We can educate you and so you can make those informed decisions. I just think that it's just something that we all ought to do. We plan birthday parties, we plan weddings, we plan all this. Yeah. Why not plan your service, your final wishes? And is it possible to pay for the entire thing in advance so that when that moment comes, it is. It's simple? Yes, it is. It's we actually most funeral homes in this area use an insurance to do that, burial final expense insurance. We use a company called Homesteaders Life Insurance. Mm-hmm. A lot of families that maybe don't have $9,000, $10,000, $11,000, they can make monthly payments on that. We can do a 3-year, a 5-year, or a 10-year payment plan, and it kind of makes it where you can see what the costs are. It also helps with inflation. I mean, we can go ahead and take care of that today and let the policy grow with interest to offset the inflation that's coming, if it be 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, Do you encourage people to shop around? I know it sounds callous, but I mean, we are talking about a decision, a clear-cut decision that people have to make. Should they shop funeral prices? Well, I think most families have over the years they've been dealing with the same funeral firm. Mm-hmm. That they, but yes, definitely look at the prices. I mean, and just look at price is one thing, but you got to look what type of service that funeral home is offering and their facilities that they're offering to you, because I think that's a very important part. We have, a lot of us have larger facilities than others, and that makes up the price. But you also have to understand there's a lot that comes with funerals. It's not just the price; it's who's going to stand there after the death is over and be with you as a partner and help you through the bereavement process. We have Dr. Andrew Minger on staff with us that offers bereavement help throughout and forever through this process. So there's a lot of things. It's just not about casket and merchandise and service. It's what they offer afterwards to continue to partner and help you with this process. It's such a good point. What would you say to the viewer out there who is still scared, who still thinks that it's too big for them to pick up that phone and to take that first step? Well, I would say that probably the best thing that you could possibly do is to come in to the funeral home when there is no emotional tide, and just start the process. You do not have to fund that funeral arrangement. You can just start making, writing information down, but do something. Do something that you can start talking about your final wishes. And also, and once you've done that, is to share it with all the loved ones, because they need to know what you've done.
Yeah.
I just think it's much easier to come in when there's no emotion tied whatsoever, and just get the information, the education, and to see what we have to offer.
And to look at the downside one more time, when you do come in at the last minute, or when you do have a family that's overwhelmed with emotion, especially because of an unexpected death, it may result in a less meaningful final tribute. Is that an accurate assumption?
Right, that's correct. And also, a lot of times people overspend at that time, because they just don't know what they're doing, because they're like I said, their world's been turned upside down, and also they're just making rushed decisions. They're making just the simplest decisions. Sometimes are not the best decisions, and so yeah, it does make things more difficult, and it does make sometimes they can overspend and they don't even realize they're doing it because they're so tied into that emotion.
Well, I think that the biggest thing you pointed out today is, first of all, the number of details that are involved, and second of all, the fact that if you go through a funeral home, that all those details can be taken care of, every single one of them, down to that registry book, down to that minister selection. So, Bryan, once again, thanks for what you do for families.
Thank you, Brad.
And thanks for your time today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Anytime. You know you're welcome here. That's Bryan Evans. He is the general manager of Platts Funeral Home. He's had some wonderful advice for sure. You need to give Platts a call, give Bryan a call, and take advantage of some of the opportunities he mentioned today. You also need to please keep it here after the commercial break. We'll talk to Jim Trotter. He's a local attorney. He's going to talk about more end-of-life issues and how if you take a few simple steps now, you can avoid huge headaches later, especially when it comes to the paperwork involved and especially when it comes to decisions your loved ones want you to make for them, as the Means Report continues.